Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. Before we start, quick disclaimer, anything we discuss just for educational purpose, nothing is financial advice. All right guys, the market remains crazy bullish. Today was an amazing day in the community. Only 10 to 11% traders were red. It's pretty impressive because a lot of new traders joined the community, and we have thousands of traders. But there's a lot to cover today, right? Earnings season, hot earnings, AI, and today we saw the rotation into some names which were laggards. We saw the rotation in those. But overall, some bullish news came out middle of the day. So a lot of setups, our repeatable setups are on fire. 512 calls, MTF bounces, daily breakout charts, our swing trades, everything has been on fire, right? So today you will learn a lot. If you're completely new, go spend some time on Ripster education, learn the basics, and if you watch the video, you will learn some concepts that you can use again and again to have consistent success in the market and find financial success in the market. So before I start, I will exactly show you how more than 82% traders were green in the community. So let's start. Let's a quick introduction. So we trade a repeatable setup, repeatable system. Repeatable setup is what you trade. System is how you trade. I've been teaching my teachings on the Ripster cloud system, my technical teaching, swing trading, investing, day trading. For over 8-9 years on X, on YouTube, on Ripster Education, which thousands of traders use my teachings across the world to trade consistently. You can go to ripstereducation.com. You can see how my free education has changed so many lives. We also trade my system in our community, one of the largest trading community online. Thousands of traders trade with us every day, where I'm live on voice, live on screen share. We make a pre-market plan every day. I shared the pre-market plan today freely on Twitter as well. We look at the new setups, the earning setups, the different kind of setups, the Mag 7 setups. We provide the support level, resistance level, and the initial game plan to how to trade those setups. We also trade something called day 2 strategy. This strategy, I did a free webinar. I still have the webinar on this in our community. I teach you this every day as well. Z-Scaler, AVAV, there were some top plays on the day 2 setups that we will cover there as well on drawn move there. So we also provide levels for Spike QQQ ETFs. We trade futures. We provide future levels. We trade low floors. So everything is provided to the traders to trade, with the Ripster cloud system. And once you master the system, you can follow the plan and trade on your own. That's what my goal is, to try to teach everyone there. In our community, we have a lot of tools. We have 3 option floor scanners, we have stock scanners, breaking news alert, we are always first on the news, hold, unhold, order flow. The tools over $500-600 are free for the traders to be used in the community. So anyways, that being said, that's a quick introduction. I will show you my timestamp guidance, what we traded, how we traded, what was my guidance on those, and we'll go from there. A lot to cover today, so you can move to a ticker you're interested in. Going to be a little longer video today. And there's a lot of concepts that I'm going to cover that you will benefit from for sure. Let's go. So for you to focus on the hottest stock in the market, you should focus on the hottest news in the market. So Trump has been on fire. Everything the Trump administration has been buying, be it the rare earth, the quantum recently, or anything, Intel, or anything, or you can look at the Dell, anything they have been investing or taking a stake has been a hot sector. So drones, which we saw a rotation on it yesterday, I tweeted about it that drones are having some rotation. The reason they were rotation yesterday, because this news was coming today. So somebody always knows what's happening. So we have a long-term position already in drones exposure. So drones was yesterday I tweeted about that. There was a rotation yesterday, so we found that rotation on our on our research tracker. But drones bucket, there's a big bucket of drone stocks. You see all of them were pretty pretty big up today. UMAC, RCAT, AVEX, ONDS. So all the list is provided on the Tanner Research. That's what we use to find our setups. So when we know that the drones are being, hot names today, that's why we planned in the pre-market. We listed all the names that we are going to trade. There are too many names, but we focused on the leaders: ONDS, AVAV, AVEX. You could literally choose the one you like to play. Usually stick with the leaders, and from there you could could really make some good profits today riding the Ripster cloud system. So I'm going to talk about ONDS first here, because ONDS is also one of our long-term position here, which we started buying at 10, bought at 9, bought our average at 95. Today we hit 40% returns and have a long-term portfolio looking pretty good. We trimmed a little bit and we're holding the core size. So that was live guidance when we added this, and I've been talking about ONDS for a while on my X as well. So this morning, the plan on ONDS was we will long it versus 3450 clouds. Of course, is the leader in the drone segment. So as soon as I see that it's breaking out and curling over 3450 cloud, you see 3450, you wait for that. As soon as I see that is curling, right away I tell the trader that ONDS long, curls means long, versus 1150. So what does the versus 1150 means? That means that's your stop, wherever you're adding. If you're adding at 12, you have a 50-cent stop. You're adding 1180, you have 30-cent stop. But right away I told my traders, the target I gave was 1250 and 13. So we hit 1250 target pretty nicely. We hit the 13 target as well. Next target I gave was 1330. You see we pulled back to Ripster 512 clouds, did a curl, hit our 1330 target, and we continue to push towards 1378. And once it broke 512, the traders took a profit on the day trade, right? So that was our day trade on ONDS, right? Again, the hard sector, hard theme. You saw the rotation yesterday. It was also a nice base breakout on the daily chart. If you look at the daily chart, you will see that why it was moving, a nice breakout and huge volume, one of the largest volume today, because we're going to do another article on the drones as well, and you could find this all full list on drones right here in Tanner Research. And let's talk about some other tickers that we traded in the community today. So you can literally pick anyone. So let's look at AMPX. So AMPX was a guidance by RGV today on the long. Let's see, you can see that AMPX is listed on our Tanner Research drone theme, and you could see that how the volume was coming in. You can study more about it, and we provide all the analysis there. So anyways, RGV in the morning told the traders to watch the pullback on AMPX for the long setup, and right away AMPX broke out of that pre-market highs. It became a long, and he was looking for a 20 breakout. We broke out of 20, we went all the way to 22. So could you easily raise $1,000 and make 2 to 3 grand on that trade? You could see step-by-step guidance. 52-week high was the target that RGV gave. We a little short of the target, but by the end of the day you could take exits there. The other one which was really nice today was AVAV. So AVAV was on our day 2 plan. Let's take a look here. AVAV, I put it as a top 2 plan. 200 psychological setup, bullish bias to long over 204, right? So that was the plan. Why did I move it on the top? Because it's a drone stock, right? I mean, it was beaten down, was actually was looking for swing right here, missed that entry. But today, once the drone news come, the Trump news come, and Trump administration is trying to invest so much money in there, it's going to break out. So as soon as it breaks out of that 204 level, you take it long, you take it all the way to 216, your stops under 200, so you're risking $4, you're making $12 to $15. So that was a good trade there as well. Again, all these names we were trading on the drone news. You stick with the leaders, ONDS, try to have exposure in the hottest sectors. They go step by step. Quantums, nuclears, cooling, photonics. Now they are talking about drones. So drones is another hot stock. And same time, quantum started to run as well today because Trump administration bought it a few days ago. So these are the hot sectors, hot stocks. Look for the hot sector. If you have trouble, sign up Tanner Research, and you could do your own research there. Our investing research tool, which is a separate tool we use for research investing and swing trading, that helps you find those setups. So drones were a beautiful trade today. All right, so let's look at the next setup there. Next setup we traded today was our setup on Circle. So Circle, what we did was, I'll talk about the market a little bit later. Bitcoin became bullish and Circle was dipping down here like to 97 level. But once the market became bullish, I told the traders that Circle 512 calls, watch the pre-market high breakout. So I bought the Circle at 101.30. As soon as I see the curl, my stops were right, like a dollar stop right there. So, and as we started to move up, we moved the stops to 101. The first target I gave was 103. Next target was this MTF magnet. So you hold, you sell a little bit, you hold. We pushed through the MTF. We ran all the way to 106. I'm still holding some. 104 was my next target, and the next target was MTF magnet. You can see the timestamped guidance, no hindsight there. And Circle held the clouds, held the MTF, is trading at 108 today, right? So that's over $7 per share in profit. You're risking $1, risking 1,000, making 7 grand. And just like we were ready for the setup, right? Market was bullish. And you have to have big runs. You can't just take the profit and run away. You have to let it work for you so that you get the maximum potential out of that trade. And today it reclaimed the 1 hour clouds. It has been selling for a few days, but definitely today's move was really, really good on Circle. I've been watching. It was my focus list, filled the gap on the daily chart. So it was my focus list. That's how we could find. This is called the repeatable 512 3450 curl setup. Once it turns into red to green, fills the gap, it will continue to push. So next setup we're going to talk about is, by the way, Circle, we had our pre-market planning right here, 100 psychological setup. So we always plan everything. So similarly, P was on our earnings plan. Let's take a look here. P sitting at 2021 MTF, call over 74, no go under that. So initially P was a short, right? You see that, let me show you here. So initially P was a short because it was rejecting and dropped to 69 from 72. So I told the trader to short it, but this is where the real trade came in. Once it reclaimed the 512 clouds right here, that's where it became long, right? So I told the traders P, close the shorts, curl versus 70. Right, I took a position at 71.70. My stops were like $1 stop. It ran all the way to 77. I sold some at 76.45. You can see here, I made almost almost $5 there, risking 1,000, making 5 grand. And you can see that as it started to move up, we continued to move our stops up to 17.50. Then we moved the stops to 72. And once it break 512 cloud, we were out of that day trade. You can see that my complete recap here step by step. So P was a beautiful trade for us in the community. Just insane amount of setup. So this was a different setup. Circle was a curl right at the open. P was initially a short and a curl later in the day, midday curl setup. There was P. All right, so next look at the next setup here. Next setup we're going to look at is Z-scaler. So Z-scaler was a day 2 setup. I put it as a top day 2 to top day 2 setup here. Earnings day 2, bearish bias to short. Only long if we get a curl over 128. So what did Z-scaler do? Initially, you could see that it was a short right here. It was a short. And then I told the traders to close the shorts, and this is the 512 curls from 124, 125, 3450 curl, and pushed over the previous day lows, becomes long again. You could move the stops up, ran all the way to 132. You can see my Z-scaler guidance as well right there. Beautiful trade with the Ripster cloud system. These curl setups are amazing there on these setups. So these are curl setups. You should master these setups. You will really do good on all these midday curl repeatable setups. You have to journal. There are different kind of setups. All setups are not the same. Sometimes the calls will fail, but when they work, you hold, because you risk one, you're gonna make $5, $6, $10 sometime. You risk 1,000, you wanna make 4 or 5 grand sometime. If it works, if it fails, you lose 1 hour. That's fine. But the key is the losers will be small, but the winners will be big. So another setup was a kind of a scalp trade for us was CRM. So when CRM started to bounce here, let me draw this, show you that CRM was on an earning trade setup. CRM was earning setup, a little choppy in the pre-market. We want to see 172 hold for the curl too long. We want to see 172 area hold for the curl too long. And what did CRM do? Bounced right from 172. Did I say that 172 in the pre-market plan? I did. So you can actually enter when you see this candle, but it's still under the cloud, but wait for the breakout. So as I see this candle, I told the traders it's curling long, 180 is your breakout, your stops are at 176. So you enter here, 177, 178, your stops are at 176, 180 breakout. My target was MTF, but we didn't hit that. My first target was 183. We hit 182.50. Once it pulled back, chopped, we got out. But you see that as you move stops up, you could still make $3-4 there on that CRM trade. Here's your timestamp guidance, pre-market planning. Understand this chop. Compare this to the other setups. Always look at the candles in the pre-market. Are they showing chop or it's a clean trend? So we'll see what CRM does tomorrow. Daily chart, we might see something soon because the chart is setting up. So big watch if the software names continue to run here. So Microsoft was actually long on the MTF clouds. This is called double MTF, right? So this is called the double MTF here. So the first thing I told the traders about Microsoft this morning was Microsoft is looking really good. And I told the traders Microsoft is looking good. So let's see here. If I want to show you my timestamp guidance here. So I told the trader, apart from Microsoft, nothing is really that strong in the Mag 7. And so the traders took the Microsoft long because it was a double MTF long, making the pre-market highs on Microsoft. The Pentagon awards 9.7 billion software deal. So that becomes a good long. I told the traders to trade versus double MTF. So the plan was already there to trade versus double MTF. And that's exactly what the traders did. They took the Microsoft long versus the double MTF because we had a news on Microsoft on the double MTF, and it was a long setup with Ripster Clouds. Double MTF ran all the way to 429. So many trade setups today. I told them the 1 hour MTF setup, so it ran from 417 all the way to 429. So Ripster MTF cloud setups are like the most probable setups. You will not find this kind of trading rule-based strategy anywhere else. You can see ARM, which was also one of our stocks. You see the levels 306, 310. Once those levels break, it becomes long. We gave the plan in the pre-market. AMD was also 1 hour MTF. You see bounced from 1 hour MTF. And we gave those levels on that as well in the pre-market on AMD. 495, 500 psychological breakout. Went on to run from there. Another one for the 1 hour MTF was SNDK, pulled back to the 1 hour MTF and ran right from there. So these are some examples of the MTF longs there. So let's look at Snow today. Snow was a choppy loser for us today because it didn't do anything up and down. And it happens sometimes because when a stock makes such a big gap, it does it. So pre-market planning was big gap, watch profit taking and watch the 232 level to hold. If breaks it, avoid it. Long over pre-market high, can short some profit take as well. So that was my plan. But if you see that the 232 level is where it was bouncing, and the short didn't work because it didn't break 232. The curl didn't work because it didn't push over the pre-market highs. It started to chop and we got out. It was a small loser for us because it was chopping. It did bounce later in the day from 34.50. You could scalp a little bit. I did tell the traders that your target is over 240. You can hit 244, and that trade didn't come in the morning, but in the middle of the day it did hit the 244, and I gave the stops 235 to the traders, or 232 as a wider stop. But the morning was just a chop, but some traders did trade it in the middle of the day. Not a great setup when such a big huge gap up. You usually see this kind of chop in the market. All right, let's talk about the Reddit. Reddit was our swing winner today. So we've been adding Reddit aggressively after great earnings. You can see that the earnings growth, 69% revenue growth, EPS growth, just insane stock, fundamentally insane stock. But it was not getting any love because everybody wanted AI names, right? So it was dipping. It was dipping after the earnings. It was going lower after the earnings. And you could see that after the earnings, it just lower. And we added 150s, then we added lower into the 142s, and we lowered our average, and then it's made a hammer candle on daily, and now it's back at 167. Huge winner for us there in our Tenet portfolio. you know, it and help. That's why you need to have conviction in your the positions. And Reddit was a really good trade. Reddit was also a day trade and day two setups, because you could see that 1 hour MTF cloud curls, that was the first signal long. Today 50-50 MTF breakout, there was a second signal long, and it ran all the way to 167. Amazing trade there on Reddit. Been like a weak stock for a long time, but you need to pay attention to the chart setups. You need to see when the clouds are curling. You need to draw your charts, and if you have a conviction in your long-term setup, you need to build a position with the risk, which was 135 that I gave my traders live guidance on this swing investment. Beautiful winner for us. That's how you stay in with conviction stocks. All right, let's look at some other earning plays today. AMSC was our MTF magnet short in the morning. Really good company, but initially it was profit taking. The plan was bullish bias to long over 50, short under it. That was the plan I gave in the pre-market. So as soon as 50 breaks, you short it, and that's what I told the traders on AMSC. Short 50 and MTF magnet target. It from the 50, it hit 46, 45, 50. You cover there and you get out once it starts to curl. So that was AMSC, and the other earning play was PLAB, which was also a short, and it can actually also give a midday short as well. So I told the traders to watch the pops to short. You could short it from like 38 all the way to 34, midday short from 36 to 34. You see the difference. We only trade our system. If our system tells us it's a short, we are short, right? So the plan on PLAB was trade versus 40. If it fails, short under that. Simple as that, and you could make good profit trading that PLAB short there. Some other earning plays which were really good. Let's look at Best Buy here, because we make a plan for all our trade setups in the pre-market. So in the pre-market we have the plan and we just follow the plan, right? So Best Buy was another great example of of that. Let's take a look here. So Best Buy, it was the plan on Best Buy was long over the pre-market highs, right? Retail has been strong, so as soon as pushes the pre-market highs, you long it and you ride the Ripster clouds all the way from 70 to 77 for $77 per share profit on this earning place. Beautiful earning play. Let's go to the next one. Maybe we can recap. I didn't even touch MRVL today because it was choppy all day. It was choppy like CRM. So you need to understand when something is choppy. Did give a 512 call setup middle of the day, but when candles are like this, there's no really setup. It's a big watch for tomorrow, day two setups, but for today we didn't touch it, and we saved a lot of pain there on MRVL right there. All right, let's talk about some other setups here. TEM was good. TEM was let's see here what TEM was doing here. So TEM had a news. It had a news and another 1 hour MTF setup. The plan on TEM in the pre-market was watch MTF holds, MTF above, so MTF magnet setup. So what I did to do, from MTF to the MTF to the MTF, all the way to 51. Easy MTF setup there on TEM. Just want to talk about ORCL a little bit. We tweeted, I also sent the chart in our Tenant Research chart for the swing traders as well. I mentioned that this is a weekly breakout. It's going to break it out. We also tweeted it on our Tenant charts. If you see this, we tweeted this setup. You need to identify these setups. You see this setup, and once it broke out of there, it continued to push, and right now it's at 212. So beautiful trade there for the traders. Traders were also day trading in the community on that. So let's wrap up here by talking a little bit about, let's talk about the market, what market did. Market was another MTF today, another MTF. So what market did, let's take a look here. All right, so market was another MTF setup. If you want to look here, let's see here. All right, you see that what market did. Pushed. The plan one was on the market was simple. The plan was trade versus 1 hour MTF. Trade both versus 1 hour MTF. Watch the AI names. Watch the VIX and yields to break. Initially it was choppy. There was no trade. Choppy, but as soon as the bullish news hit, you could risk that MTF and call 512s, take it all the way up for your SPX trades, for your future trades, and that was a repeatable setup. You see my pre-market planning, trade versus MTF. You put your stops at the MTF, take it long, breaks the pre-market highs, hold it all the way up. So that was a beautiful, beautiful trade there.